Hey, how's it going? This is Cross the Rubicon channel. Well, as you know, I've got the COVID and I'm isolating. But I'm walking around the field, or the paddock, as they say in New Zealand. And it's pissing down with rain. I've got an umbrella, as you can see. And I'm looking my best. Maybe you can see this. Pair of wellies and a dressing gown and a jacket over the top. I had a phone call the other day from a friend of mine, and she's setting up a debate with a Maori lady who I've called out recently. I'm not going to mention her name. And this Maori lady's called me a few choice things. And I've called her a few choice things. That's okay, that's just the way it is. And anyway, we're going to have a bit of a discussion. And it's going to be, if nothing else, interesting. I'll let you know when it's coming on. But anyway. Just earlier, I looked at Wikipedia and checked up where Maori come from in New Zealand. The Maori of New Zealand, where they originally come from. And it says on the Wikipedia site, and many other sites, that Maori came here in the 1300s, or if you like, 14th century, somewhere between 1320 and 1350. And they came from a place called Hawaii. Now, nobody really knows where Hawaii is, but it does say on the Wikipedia page that Maori are the indigenous people of New Zealand. And in the same little paragraph it says they came here in 1320 to 1350. So, well, I don't know about you, but it doesn't really make sense to me. But it does say the other indigenous peoples of New Zealand, so it's not got one indigenous, but two indigenous, are the Maori, who were here before Maori, who basically went to the Chatham Islands. Now, nobody knows where they came from. No one knows where the Maori really came from. But what it has become, is very problematic today, because, like I've said many times before, Maori in New Zealand, every single one of them, without exception of any, are only part Maori. Now, Maori don't like me saying this, and they call me a white supremacist for saying it, even though it's a factual statement. I'm trying to cross this fence, but I can't. Suppose I can lift my leg over it. Oh, Jesus. Oh, my friend. Oh. Okay, I got my leg over. Doesn't happen very often. Anyway, got my leg over the fence. So, yeah. Today, the Maori of today, everyone diluted, every single one of them. I don't believe there are any half Maori. I believe they're all less than half Maori. And many are one part in maybe 64 Maori, and even less than that, but they still call themselves Maori. Especially the elites in New Zealand, because a lot of these elites in New Zealand, albeit be the heads of tribes, iwi as they say in New Zealand, or the Maori party. Many Maori in New Zealand are white as me, and yet they get tattoos all over the face, and especially women for some reason. They get what they call a muku, which is the tattoo on your chin, which is basically here. In other nations that would be called cultural appropriation, but not here. So basically, these people who have risen to the top of Maoridom have become very, very powerful via pulling the race card every time and having the power, the destructive power of destroying people, well, like me, because they can, because they never get called out by the media or politicians, celebrities or anybody, because, well, they're Maori, and if you call them out, well, they'll come after you as well and call you a racist and a far right white supremacist and a colonialist and whatever. So in effect, Maori have become very privileged. When I say Maori, I mean just getting a doggy. You know, they can do anything they want, call anybody anything they want and get away with it. The latest example is David Seymour. Now, I'm no fan of David Seymour. If you look at my video from last year when I confronted him in Ashburton, I think it was, I'm not a fan of David Seymour because I think he's a fake and he's a fraud, and I'll still call him that. But just the other day, Lawiri half wheaty is my word, Lawiri half wheaty Waititi, he's one of the co-leaders of the Maori party, made a joke of poisoning David Seymour in Parliament, and hardly any media coverage of this, no media condemnation, and in fact, if they do mention it, it's a bit of a joke, you know. But as I say, I'm not a fan of David Seymour, but if David Seymour would have said that about half wheaty Waititi, David Seymour would be, well, finished now. He would be finished. So this is the power they have. And it's wrong, and this has been encouraged by the Prime Minister and the media, because let's face it, like I've said many times before, and I'll say it again, the media in New Zealand are paid to promote everything Maori. And otherwise they lose funding from the government, advertising, funding. And they have to promote that the Waitangi Treaty that was signed in 1840, they have to promote that that was a partnership, which it wasn't. The Treaty of Waitangi was not a partnership. Basically, the treaty was to give Maori up and down New Zealand the rights and privileges of British citizens. And they stopped the perpetual state of war in New Zealand, the perpetual state of slavery in New Zealand, and the perpetual state of cannibalism that existed in New Zealand as well, between Maori. But now, Maori historians, helped by sycophantic quislings in government, who have got the same epidermis as me, same colour epidermis, have decided to rewrite history and let the Maori write their own history. And now, well, Maori weren't a warlike people. They weren't slave owners. They weren't cannibals. And they were all running around with flowers in their hair making love all day. And apparently, as well, one report is that Maori had a trading industry, would you believe? And they traded with the United States, or America, California, apparently. Before the British came here, would you believe that? Now, all I'm doing is having a conversation that should be had. But this conversation won't be allowed to be had by Maori. They want to drive the narrative, and all of New Zealand have to swallow it. Or else you're racist. That's what's wrong. Now, a lot of people in New Zealand won't have anything to do with me, especially these small party leaders, without naming them, but they won't have nothing to do with me because they think I'm an extremist, and I say it maybe a little bit too near the knuckle for their liking, because they like it middle of the road. They don't want to upset the apple cart. They like to keep out the media. They like to appease. Well, I call that out, I really do, and I'm calling it out here. I think that's weakness. I think having that kind of attitude has brought us to where we are today. It's made us weak. It's weakened the New Zealand male. And it's the greatest gift of all to Maori extremists right at the very top of the tree, and this government. I really do believe that. And people like me, okay, I come from the UK 20 and a half years ago, saying what I'm saying. I've got skin in this game. I've got skin in this country. I've got 3 daughters, 2 grandsons, and 1 on the way. And I don't want to see New Zealand fall into these tribal leaders' hands, saying they own everything. And if you don't agree, you're a big racist, because that's what's happening. I like to call it out and call it as it is. To many people, many of you watching this, that's refreshing. But to a lot, they call it aggression, because they want to make excuses to shut people like me down. I call into question them leaders of small parties, what they really do believe in. I called one out the other day. If you look at a previous video that was on Telegram, Cross the Rubicon 123 on Telegram, I do call into question what they really believe in. I put it out there. I really do put it out there. Hey, I pull back a little bit from things that I really want to say. But these people, these middle of the road people who are terrified to upset anybody, keep it middle of the road. Oh, we don't want to upset the media, because the media might say bad things against us. And that's only the men that sound like that. It's just not good enough. They wanted to entertain me. They won't entertain me in their parties. They won't entertain me running for any longer. Get my... As you can see, I'm getting my leg over again. Oh, jeez. Pardon me. Oh. Get my leg. I'm over the fence. That fence there. It's alright, I've still got my tackle. But yeah, they don't like me because I say things that they're afraid to say. And they are afraid to say. And there's 1 or 2 budding journalists, so-called social media journalists. They ignore me. Just a dog, I'm calling the dog back. They ignore me and that's okay. I've got my own platform, and I'll do and say what I do. They can ignore me all they want, because they have interests in getting their own people, family even, into a position of power, and they want to do it the nice, easy, safe road. Well, I think times are changing, and I think New Zealand needs people like me, like myself. David Seymour is making noises now, but he said something much different last year. Do you know what he said to me, David Seymour? I asked him about freedom of speech. This was just after I was sacked from Sinai. And he said to me, David Seymour said, he says, well, there is freedom of speech, but there's consequences as well, he says. Ah, right. So, that means there's freedom of speech, but there's consequences. But in effect, that means there's no freedom of speech, does it, David? As long as you're not making threats of violence, threats to hurt anybody, threats to kill, then it shouldn't be an issue. But he thought that what I did made a video, satire video, of hello wheaty, half wheaty, Waititi, I deserve what I got. That's what he more or less said. But now he's in the gun himself. By hello wheaty, half wheaty, Waititi. Now he's in the gun himself, threatening to poison him. So now he knows what it's like. Because these people are just laughing at New Zealand. They're laughing. They can say anything they want. Make threats against anybody. And the media won't touch them. Politicians won't condemn them. Celebrities won't condemn them. People on the project, or 7 Sharp, or TVNZ, or TV3, or the Herald Stuff News Hub, they won't touch them. In fact, they'll go for David Seymour instead. But you get where I'm coming from? New Zealand needs to change. It really does. And these small political parties, you're getting nowhere, because all you're doing is running around in circles with your big egos, and you don't help each other. You slag people like me off. You throw me to the wolves. You won't give me any. Well, you won't talk to me. You won't meet up with me. Because you don't want to be seen with me. Maybe it's that, I don't know. Hey, I really care less. But at some stage, quite possibly, you're going to need me. Because you ain't got no one next to you or around you who's going to be saying it to these hard men and hard women. Debbie Pucker in the Maori party. I will. I will love nothing more than to have a chat with Willie Jackson, or JT, or Hone Harawira, or Awiri Half Wheaty Waititi, Debbie Packer, or Nanaya Mahuta. I'd love to have a chat with these people. Put it live. It's got to go live though. Can't have it edited. It's got to be live. Do you think they'd have a chat with me? Do you think Willie Jackson would have a chat with me? Think JT would have a chat with me? Half Wheaty Waititi? Not a chance. Because they know I'm not going to pull any punches. We live in the age of stupidity and cowardice. And that's destroying us from within. Okay, I think I've said enough around this paddock. I'll give you one last look at how I look. How ridiculous. Bit of fun though. This is Cross the Rubicon. Please like, leave a comment, subscribe, share this video everywhere. Oh, I've got to say, Carl Bromley is the best man to be Christchurch Mayor. He's not quite like me, but he's near enough. The others, they're just same old, same old. Carl Bromley from Mayor. See you later.